Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, I got a funny story right here. A fire cost an estimated $340,000 in damages. We'll just pause. I don't think that's funny. That's really sad. But the circumstances are what make me kind of laugh.
All right.
Okay, $340,000 in damages to a place in Henderson, Las Vegas. It was a business. Here's the ironic part. The business was a place that does psychic readings.
Yeah, they probably should have seen that coming, huh?
Do you think if they rebuild, anybody would go to them? Like, oh, you're psychic. But you didn't see that happen. $340,000 in damages. It sounds like nobody was hurt, thank goodness. So at least they knew well enough to get out of there. But that is just kind of funny to me. I'm not really a believer of the whole psychic thing.
I'm not either.
I believe in deja vu. Seems
I've
like,
never fallen for that, but
I have deja vu all the time, but I don't know about the whole. And if you're psychic, I guess maybe you are, but I'm not. It's just not my thing. I don't understand all of that. I can tell you, I have a premonition though, a story about Gatorade. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
In the 1960s, there was this invention in Florida, and they came up with this thing where there's these electrolytes infused into water. It's called Gatorade.
yes.
Named after the Florida Gators. You know, that's where they came up with this. So in the 60s, that was the magic sports elixir. In the 70s, many athletes consumed bee pollen to energize themselves to the max. That's like, hey, you know what? You got to have this bee pollen. Well, a couple years ago, a Chinese coach, he trains record-breaking long-distance runners. He claimed he came up with a new way for people to get that boost as well. You know what they snack on?
What's that?
Worms.
Ew.
Yeah.
No thanks.
If you came at me with a worm, I'd probably run faster too. Here, eat this.
No, thank you.
I'll just keep running instead. Thanks anyway. Now, if I've never had a worm, so who knows? Maybe they taste delicious.
I will not
But
ever
I don't
have
want
a
to find
worm.
out. I'm not really interested in this at all. So it could taste like bacon flavored worms. I think I would still avoid it.
No.
Just not into that.
Not going to do it.
Not a worm kind of guy.
No.
Thank you so much for listening, though, to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVWheelator.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVWheelator.com.
Hey, do you want to get a free gift from your teachers at school?
Sure.
Just show up late all the time and they'll give you a present. Listen to this. If going to school and showing up late, is that something that happened to you? Were you late ever? I was late.
Never.
I
was
Really?
I was never
With that smile on
late.
your face? I think you were always late. Well, when I was a kid, you get in trouble for that. But detention apparently wasn't working, and getting written up apparently is not working. So in Manchester, England, if you show up late for school, they'll give you a gift, an alarm clock. The staff at St. James Primary School hoped the scheme would ensure children would turn up to school on time for lessons. Teacher Gwen Osborne came up with the idea after a brother and sister were chronically late for class, and they told her, well, we don't have an alarm clock. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's your excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now what's the new excuse going to be? Because she bought them an alarm clock.
You know what that would encourage me to do
What was
as a
that?
kid?
What?
That would encourage me to be late every single day and then have a very lucrative business in school selling alarm clocks.
Why does that not surprise me that you would think of that? Didn't we just give you an alarm clock? I sold that one already. I'm running out of stock, so if you could give me another one, that'd be great. I don't know how lucrative it would be because the other kids could just...
No, I'd sell them online.
Oh, I see. Well, there you go.
Yeah, see?
You get your supply chain all figured out, don't you? Can we just drop ship
No
these?
overhead.
You really
No
don't need to
overhead.
send them to
It's
me.
Brilliant.
I sold it to a guy in Bangladesh, so if you could just ship it to him, that'd be great. No, this is really happening in England, in Manchester, England.
That's
so they're
not smart at all.
You know what? I'm glad that they're trying something, because when I was a kid, this is the thing that never made sense to me. I'm late for school, so then they say, okay, you have detention, you got to stay after. How does having me stay after help me get here earlier tomorrow? It didn't help ever. It just made me, now I'm late for school and I'm leaving school late too. So I'm going to be even later for work.
But you know what? It encourages you to not be late again because you don't want to stay after school.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I got my homework done. So, all right. They're giving away free clocks nowadays. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain. And this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again?
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. A federal appeals court is saying N-O to a nasty TP note. Listen to this. Texas prison inmate George Morgan sent a vulgar message to a prosecutor. It was written on a piece of toilet paper. He claimed he was just exercising his constitutional right of free speech, Heidi.
Okay.
Federal appeals court
as long as it wasn't dirty toilet paper, I guess I don't see what the problem is.
Lower court ruling tossing out his claim. The court said the prison administrators had the right to dock him 15 days of good time credit for the TP stunt. He's serving a 23-year term on drug dealing charges, so he's a drug dealer and he's not making good choices.
Well, imagine that.
I am shocked.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
I don't have a problem with him writing a dirty note.
I don't know what it was, and I don't know what he used to write it. That's my concern. So all I know is I'm glad that I'm not in there. Kind of like it on the outside. It's nice and free out here. Smell that freedom. All right. We got your moment of duh coming your way in a bit.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
This is quite the moment of duh. A New Jersey man trying to exterminate some insects ended up blowing up his entire apartment instead.
Oh.
Isis Masida, I'm not sure if I'm saying any of that right. He was uninjured in the incident, but 80% of his apartment was destroyed. This happened in Eaton, New Jersey. The police said the incident occurred as he was spraying for pests in the kitchen. Somehow the bug spray ignited and a blast blew out the apartment's front windows and triggered a fire that quickly spread. The blaze also caused smoke damage to the apartment upstairs as well. So, no word on whether or not he got rid of the bugs, but he did get rid of all of his worldly possessions in the process. So,
wow, he's lucky.
Yeah, he's very fortunate. He did not get hurt. 80% of his apartment was completely destroyed. So 80% was 100% destroyed. Does that make sense?
I've seen some dumb things happen in apartments. I used to manage an apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
And some people are not smart.
And if you're not smart, you might end up in the moment of duh.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your Scoop of the Day. After waiting for years to find the right woman, a bachelor recently got married in a remote part of India. He was 93 years young, and he finally got married. Guess how old his wife was?
How old was his wife?
63.
Whoa.
So these newlyweds are 93 and 63. She happened to own the building that he lived in, so he was like her tenant. Now he's her husband. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A woman in the UK called police from a hair salon because she said, "My hair was," and I quote, "a mess." The woman told police, "I'm refusing to pay, and I need some legal advice."
Good Lord.
You don't call the police for legal advice. You call an attorney.
It's ridiculous.
Or, what do they call them there? A barrister. Isn't that what they are?
Ridiculous.
Number of cremations in the United States is going up. 50% is about where they're at now. Half are being buried, half are doing cremation.
I want to be cremated.
And the instructions to loved ones is often to scatter my ashes here or there or whatever. But you need to get, believe it or not, a permit, and you need to have permission to do that. Otherwise, the funeral industry calls that wildcat scattering, and it's frowned upon.
What difference does it make at all?
If you have to have permission to put things in places.
It's not hurting anybody. It's just dust.
I just don't know where they're dumping
little fragments of bone.
What do you want to do with yours? You have a special
I want to
thing.
have it mixed with cement and turned into a statue.
Mm-hmm. So my wife wants to be immortalized.
A cremation creation is what I call it.
Anybody out there that knows how to do that, please contact us and let us know. Hey, if your 7-year-old comes home from school, a little boy comes home with the flu, chances are he got it from another little boy, not a little girl, according to new research on how the flu virus spreads. Scientists researching the spread of H1N1 in the elementary school systems find boys typically transmit to boys and girls pass on to girls. In fact, in grade school, guys are 3 times more likely to spread flu to classmates of the same sex than the opposite sex. So that's how it works with flu germs. It's exactly the opposite with cooties.
It makes sense. You're gonna because when they're little, they're playing out.
Yeah,
they're playing with kids.
I don't
just
know how
like
it works. Hey, a new report says cocoa extract may help prevent Alzheimer's. According to a study from the School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, a specific preparation of cocoa extract prevents a protein in the brain from gradually forming sticky clumps, which are known to damage nerve cells as Alzheimer's progresses. So, have some cocoa extract.
Really?
I'm
That's
a fan.
good to know.
I'm a fan of cocoa, so you throw that in everything. From now on, coffee with cocoa extract. What's that over there? This would be, that's prime rib with cocoa extract. Everything. Utero babies are not just relaxing, waiting for their real-world entrance. They're actually listening before they're born, Heidi. Did you know this?
Yes, that's why they say you play music for your kids. And
Turns out that unborn babies can hear a lot more than we think they hear. The fun starts about 30 weeks in, and the last 2 months are the best part. That's when they start to recognize mama's voice. And if you're pregnant right now, hold the radio up to your kid. Hold it up to your belly. Hey, when you're born, be sure to listen to the John and Heidi Show. All right. We already know that getting enough sleep plays a huge role in health, from maintaining healthy weight to fighting off the cold and all of that fun stuff. But research says getting enough sleep, if you don't do that, if you get enough sleep, it'll slow down the aging process too and help you keep yourself looking younger longer. Researchers at Duke and NUS Graduate Medical School in Singapore found that when older adults sleep less, their brain actually ages faster. So get more sleep and your brain's going to be better too.
Really?
I think this is why you age a lot better than I do. You're actually older than me, but I had a person that asked if you were my daughter. So I'm like, no, she's my wife.
One of my favorite people in the world, by the way.
She's my wife, and she's older than me. Thank you. All right, moving on to our strange law. In Florida, if an elephant is left tied to a parking meter, the parking fee has to be paid just as though it were a vehicle. So if you tie your elephant to a parking meter in Florida...
I'm sure they have a big problem with that in Florida.
You got to feed the meter. I'm just saying, that's the strange law. And this has been your Scoop of the Day.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for joining me on a Friday. We've got a special guest on the line, Erwin F. Gellman. He's the author of a bunch of books, but he's got a new one out called The President and The Apprentice, Eisenhower and Nixon, 1952 to 1961. Erwin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, John.
Well, thank you so much for writing this book. What a cool book, The President and The Apprentice. Now, I know you've got other awesome books also about presidential topics, but what made you decide to write about the relationship between Eisenhower and Nixon?
Well, I have to tell you, my wife tricked me into doing it. I was going to write my 4th book on FDR, and we lived in Newport Beach, California, which was about a half an hour from the Nixon Library. And she tricked me to go out there, and we went down to the archives, and the archivist started showing me some papers, and I went, wow. And I've been hooked for the last 20 years.
Well, this is a very interesting combination of people. Either one of these guys on their own, Eisenhower on his own, Nixon on his own, either one of those on their own would make a fascinating book. But when you put them together and you do it the way you're doing it, talking about the President and the Apprentice, it's a really cool idea. How long have you been working on the book itself?
Only 20 years.
Oh, is that all?
It's about 3 million pages of documents.
I can't even imagine the undertaking when you dive into a project like this. And you're absolutely serious? It's 20 years worth of work?
Yes, I am being serious about it, and I got to tell you, it probably makes me a little crazy to spend 20 years working on something like this. But there's really no other way. The reporting and the history has been done so badly that the more I got into it, the more I was convinced that the record had to be corrected.
I've always found it interesting that when you mention the name Richard Nixon, some people cringe. He really wasn't a bad guy, was he?
Well, not only was he not that bad of a guy, but Eisenhower is often looked upon as a golf-playing, grandfatherly, smiling twit, when he was a brilliant president and a brilliant administrator. And as you say, Nixon has been portrayed as the reincarnation of evil. And none of this, in it all flies in the face of logic and what these people accomplished in the 1950s.
Again, our guest today is Erwin F. Gellman, the author of The President and the Apprentice, Eisenhower and Nixon, 1952 to 1961. Where can I get a copy of this book?
It's at Barnes & Noble. It's at Amazon. It's at Yale University Press. It's all over the place. I've been getting wonderful reactions to it, which pleases me greatly, and to think that you're one of my fans is even more pleasing.
And the cool thing, Erwin, this is not my only Erwin Gellman book on my shelves. I am a big fan. I'm a huge fan of presidents and history. Now, as we look at the book, The President and the Apprentice, what are some of the more fun, trivial stories that just had to be told in this book?
Well, the trivialist, more fun thing was that Nixon never had a psychotherapist. The whole story about Nixon and his psychiatrist is baloney.
Yeah.
It never happened. That Nixon and Eisenhower were either racists or at least anti-black. Nixon was the most active person in the 1950s promoting civil rights. And Eisenhower was the man that was directing the administration in favor of civil rights. The other thing is that, Eisenhower was passive during McCarthy and just blithely sat by while McCarthy self-destructed. No, Eisenhower was the man specifically behind the destruction of Joe McCarthy. In foreign policy, Eisenhower was a brilliant international tactician and strategist who helped train Nixon as being a major foreign policy president. None of these things have ever been pointed out.
It's been fun to visit with you, and I'll tell you, it's funny. You were saying that your wife kind of tricked you into going to the Nixon Library. Our son tricked us into going. He wanted to go there when he was 5 or 6 years old. That's a really cool place, isn't it?
Well, not only is it a really cool place, but if you're a researcher, it's the first time I've ever really seen right-of-center historical documents. And one of the things that I tell people when I go out and speak is I believe that the Richard Nixon Presidential Library will be considered be the finest record of right-of-center history in the second half of the 20th century. That's how good the documents are.
It is a neat place. If you're ever in the Yorba Linda, California area, you got to stop by and check it out. And if you're into history and you're into presidents, you also got to check out this book. I'm going to certainly endorse it. The President and the Apprentice, Eisenhower and Nixon, 1952 to 1961. Been visiting with the author, Erwin F. Gellman. Erwin, thank you so much for devoting the last 20 years of your life to putting this book out. Great job, my friend.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it the time.
We appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Again, the book is called The President and the Apprentice, Eisenhower and Nixon, 1952 to 1961. Wherever you like to buy books, they've got it. If they don't, they can order it. Again, Erwin F. Gellman has been our guest today. Thank you so much for joining us on the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
This portion of the program is brought to you by CarsForSale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at CarsForSale.com.
Today is a very special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
It's the last day of July. It's Friday, July the 31st. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
It's National Talk in an Elevator Day.
Really?
I'm not going to be on an elevator anywhere today, but if I were, I would talk. System Administrator Appreciation Day, and I appreciate our system administrator all the time. Who is that? Do we have one?
Me.
That's you?
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, John.
Uncommon Instruments Awareness Day today as well. So for those of you who play the piccolo, today's your day, because they don't have a piccolo day. World Ranger Day today as well. So it's a lot of weird things today. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to have to do some of these things. World Ranger Day. What is the most uncommon instrument you've ever seen somebody play? Have you ever seen anybody play anything bizarre? I saw a guy that made a ukulele thing out of a cigar box.
I remember being
cool.
on a tour in grade school and seeing a man play the saw like it was a violin. He had a bow and would bend the saw, and he was playing it. Today's
a day to celebrate those. It's Uncommon Instruments Day, so get out and celebrate on this 31st day of July.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
All right, got an interesting story here. A little bit of monkey business going on at the zoo. A man wearing only boxer shorts jumped into the gorilla exhibit at the Bronx Zoo. What? Need evidence that evolution is not possible? This should do it for you. A man recently stripped down to his boxers, scaled a high fence, and jumped into the Bronx Zoo gorilla exhibit. Quick-thinking zoo employee was able to herd the gorillas into their feeding cages before the man got near them. After 15 minutes or so, police arrested the man. He was being led away. Police asked him why he did it. He said, "I wanted to be at one with the monkeys." Not surprisingly, he was taken to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah, this sounds like something that my father would do after
Your dad wouldn't
a couple
do that.
Drinks.
No, not with the gorillas.
He's got an issue with monkeys.
He does. He loves monkeys.
I'm not quite sure where that comes from.
But he loves monkeys. It's not like the way you said it, you made it sound like he didn't like monkeys.
No, he adores them.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
He's got a picture with him and an orangutan.
Anytime he gets an opportunity to have a picture taken with a monkey of any kind, he is all over it.
I think it's pretty darn cool. And your dad is a funny guy, but I would not imagine him jumping the fence and hanging out with the monkey. Couldn't see that at all. But this happened at the Bronx Zoo. Now, not too long ago, you were telling me about a story where a little kid fell in.
Yeah.
And the gorilla picked up the child and
everybody was freaking out and screaming because they thought that the gorilla was going to hurt the child. But picked up the child and patted him on the back and carried him over to the door where the caretakers come and go.
That's
and
awesome.
set him down there so they could get to the baby.
Well, this one they didn't have the opportunity to do that because this guy was nuts. He was stripped down to his boxer shorts, and no gorilla picked him up and coddled him. Instead, the police officers handcuffed him and hauled him away.
Hey, whatever it takes, I guess.
He got some attention one way or another. Does not have his name in the story, which is kind of funny because if that were to happen, you'd think, that would be the first thing, Mike Smith or whatever. If your name's Mike Smith, I'm sorry, just a very common name. But, you'd think that they would put the person's name in there because he was nuts enough to jump into the monkey cage. Maybe they're saying we don't want to shine the light on him because we don't want others to do it. I don't know. Coming up, the walls are closing in. If you're claustrophobic, we're going to chat about it.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening on a Friday. I know it's almost time to take off and be done working for the week. The week's almost over. But for those of you who maybe work in a cubicle, if you feel like the walls are closing in on you, you might be right. Because they are. Cubicles are shrinking. According to a new article in Wired magazine, the standard office cubicle has shrunk by about 50% in recent years, down to 30 square feet. The magazine notes that by comparison, most coffins are 15 square feet.
Ooh.
Prison cells are a spacious 70 square feet. So you got twice as much room in a prison cell, and you do more than twice as much than you do in most cubicles nowadays.
Isn't that sad?
Yes.
That really says quite a bit about what we're...
Yeah. How much space do you need to work? You're going to sit in this one place and work on this one computer. We don't want you to move around too much. We're giving you this much space. Or we're going to chain you to the desk. Well, we're not going to do that. But it's going to just feel like we chained you to the desk. So there you go. If you're getting claustrophobic at work, that might be why. Going to talk about hiccups coming your way in a bit.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at GunUp.com.
Hiccups. Just even the word hiccup sounds funny to me. Doesn't that sound like a funny word to you? Hiccup?
Oh, sure.
Have you ever had hiccups?
I have.
Where they didn't go away?
Well, they always go away.
Well, there's some sort of epidemic going on in Madrid, Spain. Sounds funny, but there's 1,100 people in a neighborhood in Madrid, Spain. They don't think it's funny at all. It's been going on for about 3 months, and nothing has been able to cure the victims. 500 of these people have had to go to the hospital.
Oh, weird.
Researchers say the epidemic may be linked to a gas leak that occurred right around the time of the mass hiccup epidemic starting. And they're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. There's some sort of shenanigans going on with the hiccups.
A gas
in
leak?
Madrid. Yeah.
Why would a gas leak cause the hiccups?
Don't know. But they're trying to figure out how to cure this, how to get them to stop, and they can't get it to stop. What are some of the funny cures that you've heard of for curing hiccups?
Drinking water upside down.
And that is one that I never understood because you know how hard that is? I've tried it.
That's why it works, though, because you're concentrating.
I think if you just go stand on your head and do the upside down thing, that probably do it for you. I don't know if the drinking water. There's a good chance you're going to drown.
No, I think it's just you're concentrating, and so you're focusing so hard that the hiccups kind of go away.
I heard a thing where you, like, if you scare somebody that has the hiccups, that's supposed, but I don't know if that works either. If you get a good cure for the hiccups, head on over to Madrid. I bet those folks will pay you for
They'd love to see you.
Yeah. Coming up, we're going to talk about a bizarre thing that's on Kickstarter. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1 plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
You know, I don't quite understand why this is on here. But in their first ever Kickstarter campaign, now this is a thing where people that want to start a business or whatever, they go on there. It's an interesting concept. I've actually contributed to some things on there because I thought it was kind of a neat thing. But this is weird. The National Air and Space Museum from the Smithsonian is asking the public to cough up $500,000.
What?
And they have it on Kickstarter. This just seems so unprofessional and weird to me. The government, federal government...
Isn't that government funded?
Yeah. The Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum is asking the public for $500,000 to conserve and display the spacesuit worn by Neil Armstrong when he first stepped on the moon. So it's a 21-layered spacesuit. It's one of the museum's most fragile artifacts. Over time, Heidi, these artifacts begin to degrade. They say that they're going to use the $500,000 to, and I quote, reboot the suit. They're conducting chemical analysis and CT scanning, research conservation techniques, creating 3D scans, and preserving the garment down to particles of lunar dust that are clinging to the surface. All of that for a mere $500,000.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Wow.
And you can contribute by clicking onto the Kickstarter campaign.
I don't think
which
so.
I'm not going to be contributing to. I contribute already to the Smithsonian by paying my taxes.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you.
And if they want to do this, I'm not saying that this isn't important. So please, I hope you all understand that I'm not saying this piece of history is not important. I think it is.
Oh, it's absolutely
but
important.
It's so important that it should be funded by the funds that are already being taken from everybody's paychecks.
Exactly.
There are other things that we spend money on that I go, well, why are we spending money on that? Put it towards something like this.
Exactly.
Why in the world are they asking for people to do this through Kickstarter? It just doesn't make sense to me. So you can prepare the phone calls now. Coming up, we got a positive story for you. That's how we like to end the program, and that is on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
Always like to end the program with something positive. And this I thought was really kind of a cool thing. A church in Georgia recently did a collection of a different type. Usually when you think of a collection at a church, what do you think of? Passing the plate.
Tithing.
Putting money in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if I told you that they were asking for Oreo cookies?
Oh.
That's quite a collection. They collected over 5 tons of Oreos, which were shipped overseas to members of the United States Armed Forces. And this is from Christian Post. The story is here. And it says the Alpharetta First United Methodist Church collected 5.6 tons of Oreo cookies in an annual charitable endeavor called...
I think that's wonderful.
Operation Oreo.
But that collection plate would never make it past me.
Oh, it would. If you know it's going to the troops, you would too. Operation Oreo began in 2009 from a very humble beginning. Listen to how it started. Senior pastor Don Martin was told by a young soldier who served in Iraq that the thing he missed the most was double-stuffed Oreos. Said when he's overseas serving his country, he realized just how much he took for granted, those yummy little Oreos. Now, the number of cookies grows every single year, and this year they've doled out 5.6 tons of Oreo cookies for the troops. That is so cool, isn't it?
How fantastic is that?
That is really cool.
I absolutely love that.
And, you know, for those of you who maybe are fans of this kind of thing and you want to contribute, you can go online. This is happening in Georgia. And it's a place called the Alpharetta First United Methodist Church. And I think it's too late to help this year because they're sending them over now. But, you know, that's a cool thing if you're going, hey, I want to contribute to that for next year. Or who knows, maybe they need some funds to help with, sending the stuff. I don't know. I think this is a cooler thing than donating to the spacesuit that the government should be taking care of anyway.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Again, I got people mad at me already, so might as well.
Well, it's common sense. Good Lord.
I think this is such a cool thing. People giving back to people. So there you go. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm going to go celebrate by eating a double stuffed Oreo. You know what? I think I'm going to get one of those mini thin Oreos. Those look interesting. Have you seen them?
I'm not going to bother. They're more expensive and it's less food. I'm not wasting my money.
It's like a diet Oreo.
I'm not falling for that.
I'm going to try one of those.
You're still going to eat a whole package anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'll eat a sleeve of them one way or another. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio. And when you get there, check out the different options that are available. Oh, I just got an email yesterday. I'm going to get another free sample of the One Wipe Charlie's. I still have the other one here.
You've never used the first one.
No, it's right here because I just don't know if I can do that.
What difference does it make if you wipe with that or if you wipe with toilet paper?
I don't know. It feels like it says aloe vera and chamomile.
You might love it.
The civilized way to wipe.
You
I
might
just
love
don't
it.
think I can do it. The original peppermint scent, who's going to be smelling down there anyway?
Well, definitely not me.
Me neither. Just saying. Keep out of reach of children for external use only.
Oh, goodness
Anyway,
gracious.
I signed up because it said, hey, would you like a free sample? I was like, yeah? Send me another one of those. Who knows? I might need 2 of them anyway. I have no clue how any of this stuff works. But you can check out. They have razors, too. That's their main thing. Dollar Shave Club. They do have razors. dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Got a couple fun stories to share with you here. There's a juror that found out the hard way that yawning in court is not necessarily a good thing. Superior Court Judge Craig Veal said, "You yawned rather audibly there. As a matter of fact," you just yawned right now, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah,
you said yawn, and it made me yawn.
As a matter of fact, it was to the point that it was contemptuous. The juror said he was sorry, but I'm sorry, Judge, I'm bored. The judge then admonished him for having a lousy attitude. Fined him $1,000. The juror paid the fine after it was reduced to $100. As it turns out, he wasn't even selected to serve. So
he wasn't even supposed to be there?
No, this is when they were picking jurors.
Oh.
So they, are you bored, son? Yeah, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah, I'm bored. Wrong answer, boy.
Now you're going to be bored with a $100 fine. Well, it was $1,000. At least went down to that.
Yikes.
This is kind of funny in a, ironic sort of way. A man who broke into the Houdini Museum. This is the funny part right there.
Okay.
Houdini was known for breaking out of
right.
things. The man who broke into the Houdini Museum in Scranton, Pennsylvania, he was unable to escape from the police. 25-year-old Charles Watkins was charged with a felony count of attempted burglary and misdemeanor charges of criminal trespass and loitering. Museum co-founder and director Dorothy Dietrich says he's going to need more than a Houdini to escape from this problem. Fortunately, nothing was taken or badly damaged during his break-in. So what was he doing there? He got in trouble for loitering. That's just hanging around, right?
I guess.
Loitering. So he broke in and was just hanging out in the museum? Like he wanted to go in late at night and check things out? I have no clue what he was doing there. That makes no sense. But he didn't escape, which is funny. That's why it was a little ironic. It's a Houdini Museum.
Shouldn't he have gotten charged with breaking and entering and not loitering because he broke in, right?
He was being charged with attempted burglary, misdemeanor charges of criminal trespass, and loitering. So all of those. All right, last thing here. Call it the case of the dead cells. Both telephones and the ones in the brain. Employees at Telefonica Movistar, a cell phone store in Morala, Mexico, say they arrived one morning to find a store had been broken into. An examination of the shop revealed that the only item missing were hollow replica phones for display. They're completely useless for making calls. They have no guts in them. It's just like a shell, little plastic thing.
All right.
Employees say the clueless thieves overlooked the real cell phones and the cash that were all sitting in a different part of the shop. Store owners, nonetheless, had to report the thief to the police. They're investigating. And they're like, what's the value? And they're like, absolutely nothing. They stole stuff that is of no value. I mean, we have to get them replaced, so I suppose we're going to have to wait till they get here. But they don't cost us anything, and we can't sell them because they're worthless. But some criminal thought they'd be worth stealing.
Huh.
You've seen the phones. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Like when you go in to buy a phone, the fake phone.
Oh, yeah, the ones that
sit
there, that are on the little...
Yeah. And they have them chained down like they're important.
Yeah.
But somebody stole them. They cut the chains and took them.
Huh.
Meanwhile, the real phones and the money was left behind. People are idiots.
People are idiots.
Right.
Well, if you're stealing...
Yeah, pretty good sign.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, pass judgment or anything, but...
Yeah, we are.
No, I'm really not. Thou shalt not judge. I'm not supposed to judge. But I am going to say you shouldn't be stealing stuff. Because also thou shalt not steal. So. don't know which one's more important on that. I have to count those in order and see which one's right. I can definitely tell you it's time to move on. This bonus break has been brought to you by our good friends at Dollar Shave Club. And I say good friends because without them, I would be a scruffy mess. And with them, I am smooth and silky, and this lady can't get enough of me. She's kissing me all the time. I have to keep my distance.
Can't keep my hands off it.
We have 5 feet between us here. I have to, because if I put my seat any closer, she's smooching me all the time. That could happen to you as well if you go to dollarshaveclub.com/radio.